of this is important, because what this kind of circuitous route did for me is it taught me a lot about how to transition, how to think about different careers and professions, how to think about brands in a way that I'm not sure that I would have had otherwise. So, I mean, first of all, the idea that any career is static is so outdated, it's not even funny. And I think I was a little bit ahead of the curve in that one, because I transitioned so many times. But I think many of you in this room will understand what I'm saying, and that everything that you do in your life, professionally and otherwise, can add to who you are and can make your professional opportunities that much more robust if you're open to the possibilities. If you are a curious person, and if you can take everything that you've learned and let it inform you and inform what you do next, your opportunities will be that much more robust. I mean, now I actually know how to do financial projections because of the time that I spent on Wall Street. I know how to contact designers to figure out if we can pull that exclusive gown for our next cover subject, because I spent time in the fashion industry. The digital technology is obvious, that's helping me on a daily basis, but just everything is informing who I am and what I know professionally. And then from a personal perspective, I mean, obviously, if you're going to go through these kinds of transitions, you've got to, just bust your ass. I mean, that's, sort of a given, but I'm going to just say it because I think it's important to say that as you are going through your career, I'm kind of big sissing some of you, but as you're going through your career, and especially if some of you are interested in making a transition from one career to another, it's just so critically important to kill your present job, just kill what you're doing right now, really, really do a great job, and then do the next thing. So you can't kind of leave before you leave. You've got to really excel at what it is that you're doing, and then, then you can get the additional responsibilities. So this is just this is a separate talk, I know. Okay, I'll come back and I'll do the whole career talk another time, but that's so critically important. It also kind of teaches you what I've sort of done, teaches you to build relationships before you need them. Another critically important thing. Just really think about who it is strategically you might need to know, and how you want to get to where you're going, and establish those relationships before you need to call them for something. Really, you guys, that's so important. Just try to get something going, before it's life or death. All of these things help me at Ebony, which I will get to in a second. And then the other thing, that I really kind of learned was how people think about me. How my self-perception might differ from the way others view me, and that's very real, because that keys into your personal brand. So many of us, we have an idea of who we are. I am hardworking, and I am, funny, and I am stylish, and I am, accomplished. You have like your own little self-perception, and then you talk to somebody else, or somebody else, will give you their very real perception of you, and they're like, yeah, you're kind of arrogant, you're a little shrill, just the way that people perceive you is often very different from how you perceive yourself. Not necessarily negatively, it could be more positive. Whatever it is, there's always some kind of a gap, some kind of a schism. And so thinking about how it is that you want to be perceived as you're going through your career, especially in media, is key and crucial, because so much of media is about branding and perception and shaping content and shaping ideas, and it has to start with yourself. You have to know how to shape your own brand and your own identity before you can shape anything else. And so for me, transitioning through all these careers helped me think a lot about how I want to be perceived versus how I think I'm perceived, and also how I want to shape my personal brand. I couldn't shake my thinking about the brand. I couldn't shake the idea of Ebony as having so much brand goodwill and brand equity that anything was possible using it as the base of a platform. I mean, in addition to the fact, I think some of you in here are somewhere within my target market, but many of you are not. But Ebony, just as an FYI, is an iconic cultural institution in the African American community. I mean, it is the oldest and the largest African American magazine in the country. It is the magazine of record for Black people, which is kind of a big honking deal, really. And so it was very rare in your career that you get the opportunity to touch an iconic brand. I mean, just to touch it is just such a big deal. If any of you guys love media the way I do, just thinking about your favorite big iconic brands, just getting to touch them, it's just so exciting. And I was being given the opportunity to remake this iconic brand, and I couldn't obviously turn it down. Here I am. But it wasn't just about sort of touching the icon. It was about the idea of brand equity, because what I really believe is that strong brands are the future of print media. I think strong brands are the future of media in general, which we can get to, but certainly of print media. I really believe that eventually, magazines might become lost leaders. They might not be the most profitable piece of a media empire, but it will be the thing that translates the mission and the message of a brand most clearly. And then around that, you can build all of these ancillary opportunities for revenue, all of these other brand extensions. You can extend the brand across media platforms, and that really is the future. But it was really, for me, more of a branding exercise at first. It was like, let me rethink what the pillars are of this iconic brand. This is what's represented over the years. Okay, fine. But what can it represent for a new audience? What can this be? Can it be the same things? Can it be some of the same things with some new things? Can I address the same topics? What can I do to make this important and relevant, so that the next generation of people actually thinks about picking this up? So what I really kind of thought about was Ebony not just as a media brand, but as a lifestyle, as a sort of aspirational example of what my readers might hope to achieve in their lives and for their community. Ebony is in a very unique position to bridge the gap between present and past. There's no other media brand in the African American space that has the same kind of historical relevancy, as well as authority and ability to reflect what's happening in Black culture right now. It just really doesn't exist in the same way that it does with Ebony. What I really think is important as you're looking at various media platforms, as you're thinking about which media platform to focus on, as you're a consumer, just looking at where you're gonna go for your information or to be entertained or engaged, to think about what each platform can do best and focus on that. At the same time, being able to integrate kind of in an organic way, just the videos, so just inserting like a little play button, on something and having it sort of look like a magazine format, but then enabling you to like go in and have a three-dimensional experience. That is taking one aspect of that platform and using it in a way that no other platform can really do. I am working as the face of the brand, not just on the pages of the magazine, but also on the website and in social media. Like, I have to think about every aspect of how we are representing this brand and sort of get comfortable with the idea that I'm a huge part of that. People want a personal message. They want to hear from a person. They want a relationship. I mean, it's interesting. There's this kind of mass-inclusivity of communication, which not dictates, but which sort of seems to mean that you want this big, broad conversation. You want to follow people that have 6 million followers on Twitter. At the same time, you want to hear their words. You want intimate details, but you want to have it across millions of voices. I mean, it's very dichotomous. It's really contradictory, and yet this is the world that we live in right now. And so I'm very conscious of that, as the editor-in-chief of the magazine. And so I'm thinking about, okay, well, I need to make sure that I'm always interacting with Ebony readers as much as possible, so that everyone knows that there is an actual person behind this. There's a living, breathing human behind this, who is thinking about you and thinking about the magazine, and who wants information and suggestions and questions and comments. And I get a ton. I mean, it's a very useful exercise for me, because not only do I get to have conversations with readers and users, and I get to just sort of put out my opinions, and do them related to Ebony, but also my own personal opinions, and I can kind of walk that line a little bit. But I can also ask questions. I can also say, hey, who do you want to be on? Who are you more interested in on the cover? Are you more interested in Usher, or are you more interested in Jay-Z? Ebony magazine and ebony.com and Ebony's Tumblr and Pinterest and Instagram's all the places where Ebony lives and breathes serve to not just advocate for the readership, which is what we do, not just advocate for the readership, but also to offer an authentic reflection of what African Americans are thinking about. And you don't get that everywhere. You just don't get the kind of journalistic integrity and ability to hear what is really happening in the Black community really almost anywhere else, especially because this is an African American owned company, and so there's nothing diluting the message. It's really just the message, which is so important and so crucial, and I think even more necessary now as we try to figure out how to frankly heal this country from some of the rifts that have been illuminated in the past 4 years. It is just a tremendous honor, again, to be able to touch this iconic brand, to be able to reframe this iconic brand, and again, to be able to talk to my 10 million readers in a way that is authentic and real, and to advocate for their needs, and to entertain, and to engage, and also to be the face of this iconic brand. I mean, the whole thing is a blast for me, and I really hope that I've shared with you a few things that make sense.